in any sense, having a sense of psychological safety and knowing that you're going to be supported, whether that's on a matter of your identity or of something that you're working on for the company, you're going to do a better job. You know, if you know that you're safe and that you're in a supportive environment.
I think some people tend to kind of assume things in like binaries where they're like, oh, I assume that like when I was dating a man, people assumed I was straight. But now that I'm single and that like I'm part of like the LGBT community here at Storyblocks, like some people also assume that I'm just like a lesbian. And like it's kind of interesting how it kind of like it's either one or the other. And it's like, what if you're sort of in the middle? What if like you're queer, but like, or you don't want to put a label on it?
I've been in the workforce for 30 some odd years, and it's been more evident to me professionally that years and years and years ago, decades ago, right, in the 90s, there was a lot less awareness, and people did kind of like, you know, make pun jabs or whatever, and it didn't feel at the time that it was coming from a place of hate or anything like that. It was just what we would call today like highly inappropriate. The last 10, 15 years that I can think of, I've never really had any problem or felt in any way marginalized in my professional environment because of my sexuality. And I'm extremely thankful for that. You know, like we have progressed in many ways over all of these years. There's obviously a lot of work to do, and you know, I know that my experience is not everyone's experience.
Actually, at my last company, a big part of that was the process that we had to go through to get a local chapter of their queer representation group set up. For 2 years, we reached out to everybody that we could possibly contact about it to try to get this branch started. And I definitely think that gender and the way that we identified both with our sexualities and our gender played a huge role in that, because it was interesting that the moment that we got a new coworker who was a white cis male gay man, and he asked about starting this queer representation group, immediately a bunch of people made efforts to start to help him, and the group was started within a month, and then he got an award for starting it. People of identities that are not immediately accepted as sort of your mainstream media representation of what it means to be queer or what it means to be diverse were treated so differently, even than other people of these minority identities, but who are perceived, I guess, as more like mainstream media friendly.
To me, an inclusive work environment means that people feel comfortable showing up as their full self. I don't think you have to bring every part of your personal life into your work, and you should be able to control that. But I feel like you shouldn't be in a work environment where you feel like you have to keep parts of your personal life to yourself.
There needs to be buy-in into that sort of culture and environment. You have to be devoted to that. So things like pronouns, you know, that can't just be coming from the people in the LGBTQ plus, you know, organization or BRG. That has to be something that is, you know, encouraged by, you know, the CEO and all the leaders.
I'm non-binary. I use they, them pronouns. And just that small experience of every day having people just use the correct pronouns for me without it even being an issue or mentioned at all makes a huge difference in my everyday experience at work versus another environment where it's just repeatedly a struggle and I'm having to remind people constantly. Those tiny everyday interactions often play the biggest role in whether we feel accepted or not in an environment that we're in.
The workplace at large still has a lot to do in terms of like getting rid of some like old expectations, because as somebody who sort of likes to play with their gender presentation, like sometimes I don't feel like wearing a ton of makeup to the office or like presenting super feminine, but at the same time there's this sort of internal expectation that like if I show up for a meeting and I don't have makeup on, are they going to judge me for it? Like
I've learned a lot about like not just different aspects of the LGBTQIA plus community, but also other business resource groups as well. And there's been an emphasis on intersectionality, having a diverse community at work and having that community talk to each other and interact and share stories and feel that comfort can have really positive implications on not just the people, but the product and the brand and all of those things as well.
I am unbelievably proud to work for this company. I had no idea coming in that we had such a presence for queer culture, and a very out and proud group of employees, especially who are a couple of generations younger in the marketplace from me. It's so encouraging to see. I love that people are at a place where they can express themselves, right? This is a great model for what great companies should be.